Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Hi everyone, welcome to the second lecture on labor mobility. In our last lecture, we discussed about labor mobility. Labor mobility is the mechanism that labor market use to improve the allocation of workers to the farm. So there is a great deal of mobility in the labor market, and in fact, it seems that if the labor market there is a constant flux, some workers switch jobs in at any given point of time, and some moves across the state border lines in the form of legal or illegal immigrants. In our last lecture, we argued that all these flavors of labor mobility are driven by some fundamental factors, like workers want to improve their economic situation and the farms want to hire more productive workers. In this lecture, we will discuss about the job turnover. We will discuss about the job match, how the match mate happens between the workers and the farms in the labor market. And we will also discuss about how the job turnover affects the age earning profile of the workers. When we say job turnover, it is known as the employee turnover or the staff turnover, and it refers to the rate at which employees leave a company and are replaced by new hires. So, it is a key metric used by the organizations to measure the stability of their workforce and assess the effectiveness of their human resource management. So, the job turnover can be expressed as a percentage calculated by dividing the number of employees who leaves the organization voluntarily or involuntarily during a certain period of time by the average number of employees during that period, and this can be multiplied by 100 to find it in terms of percentage. So, when we say job turnover, this job turnover could be voluntarily or it could be involuntarily. So, when we say voluntary job turnover, this kind of turnover occurs when the employee choose to leave the organization on their own accord. Reasons for voluntary turnover can include like better job opportunities elsewhere, or dissatisfaction with the current job or company culture, lack of career advancement opportunities in the present job, or some personal reasons such as relocation or retirement. These are the categories which we can take under this voluntary turnover. When we say involuntary turnover, this happens when the employees are terminated or lay off by the organization. So, involuntary turnover can occur due to the performance issues, restructuring or the downsizing the workforce, or other reasons beyond the employee's control. Some certain macroeconomic conditions may force to have some involuntary unemployment by the employees. So, there could be voluntary turnover and there could be involuntary turnover in the organization. However, high job turnover can have several negative impacts on an organization as well as on the individuals. When we say that the turnover is high, it may increase the recruitment or the training cost for the organization. So, when the turnover is high, they have to hire more frequently. So, constantly they are replacing and departing employees can expensive in terms of recruitment, onboard and training. So, you have to have fresh recruitment and then you have to go for the training and some induction. So, these kind of there is certain amount of cost is associated with that recruiting and training. There could be loss of productivity. New hires often take time to reach to the full productivity level. So, leading to temporary dips in the productivity when the turnover is high. Further, there could be a disruption of team dynamics in the organization. When there is frequent turnover happens in the organization, this can disrupt the team cohesion and the morale and affecting overall performance and the employee management. Further, it impacts negatively on the employer's brand. High turnover rates can damage the organization's reputation as an employer of the choice, making it more difficult to attract top talents in the future. Therefore, organizations often strive to reduce this turnover by implementing strategies to improve employee satisfaction, provide opportunities for the career growth and development, create a positive work environment which is conducive to the employee retention. The probability of job turnover is high for the newly young workers, those who are in their 20s or 30s, as compared to the workers, those who have already reached a senior level, maybe at their 50s or 60s. So, senior level the turnover is less, they rarely leave their jobs. Further, there is a strong negative correlation between the probability of job turnover and the worker's age. Workers in their 20s are much more likely to move as compared to the workers those who are in their 40s and 50s. So, it is interesting to examine that both the probability of quit, which means it is a employee initiated job separation, and the probability of layoff, which means it is an employer initiation job separation. When we say quit, it is voluntarily from the employee side. When we say it is a layoff, it is from the employer side. So, both probability of a quit or a layoff declines with the job seniority and age. So, newly hired workers probably have the highest quit and layoff because both workers and the farms, they are testing the water. So, it takes time to get tuned up. Young workers are probably shopping around and trying to find out employment opportunities in different type of farms, in different type of industries, perhaps even if in different occupation. So, over time workers find their match in the farm, so that both type of separation occurs less frequently when it comes to latter age or at a seniority level. So, the decline in the quit rate over the life cycle is also implied by the hypothesis that the labor turnover is a human capital investment. Again, the human capital framework plays a significant role when it comes to quit the job. The older workers have a smaller layoff period over which they can recoup their cost associated with the job search. So, whenever there is a quit, there is some kind of temporary layoff or that quit, whether this could be that spell of quit, spell of unemployment, could be a short run, could be a long run. So, that spell of unemployment is associated with some cost. So, over as when we see over age, when the workers are going towards their 50s or 40s, it is very difficult to cope up with the cost. So, therefore, we see there is less likely to move from one job to another as the age increases. Even though the probability of quit and layoff shows the same decline trend within a job and over the life cycle, the evidence indicates that the quitters usually move to higher paying of jobs, whereas the workers, those who are laid off, they move to a lower pay of jobs. So, when it is the quit, which means it is initiated from the employee side, when the employee leaves one job and moves to another job, they move to a higher pay of jobs. When they find next best alternative which is higher as compared to the present one, then they move, they quit the job. Whereas in case of layoff, the workers move to a lower pay of jobs. The layoffs are initiated by the employer. So, it is difficult for the worker to find the job at the same wage level. So, they move to the lower ladder, lower paying jobs. So, there are also certain important differences in the post separation employment histories of workers, those who quit and those who are laid off. Most workers, those who quit, find employment without any intervening unemployment spell between jobs, leaving the job, present job and getting the next job. So, when they quit, the unemployment spell is less or it is negligible, whereas the workers, those who laid off, typically they experience a unemployment spell that could be a short time period for it or that could be a long time period. When it comes to job match, how the employer and employee, they become the match mate. It is simply the demand and supply. As we have seen in the simple demand and supply model of competitive labor market equilibrium, the interaction of workers looking for the best job opportunities and the employers attempting to maximize the profit which equalize to their value of marginal product of labor across the farms. So, in that case, the equilibrium allocation of workers to the farm maximize the value of labor's contribution to the national income. So, a worker's value of marginal product would not increase if he or she were to switch from one farm to another farm in a competitive labor market. So, there is no incentive for any type of job separation to occur because their contribution is same. So, when it comes to quit and layoffs, quit and layoffs are commonly and persistently observed in competitive labor market, because the job turnover arises partly because the workers differ in their ability and because farms offer different working conditions. However, the workers, they lack information about which farm provides the best opportunity, and the farms also lack of information about the workers' true productivity. So, in that case, there is a continuous search among the workers and as well as for among the farms to find that which worker is suitable for which farm, and also from the farm's perspective they see that which worker will be suitable from the farm's perspective. Let us take for example that different farms offer different work environment. Let us say at Joy's newsstand, it is a well organized and planned worker schedule. So, this organization have a very structured work environment and they give the task to the workers well in advance. The schedule is fixed well in advance and gives the workers a reasonable amount of time in which to compete and complete an assignment task, like creating such computerized inventories and the stores and newspaper and magazine holdings and like that. So, their jobs are well defined and well informed much ahead of the time is required. Whereas, let us say the Microsoft. In Microsoft, the supervisor waits until the last minute to inform the workers for the upcoming task, like writing a new code for the latest update on the spreadsheet program, or going for some changes in the product, designing the product. So, then they imposes a tight deadline. First of all, they inform it at a late, and they also fix the tight deadline that this work has to be done within that particular period of time. So, if a particular worker does not perform well under such stressful condition, the value of match between this worker and the Joes may be higher than the value of the match at the Microsoft. So, other workers, however, might find that their productive juices that flow when face a tight deadline, and for those workers the value of the match at the Microsoft would be higher. So, it may depend that how the workers they are taking this the pressure of the work, or the how they are enjoying this work environment, where it is a tight and stressful condition, and in some other case it is a very pleasant and well defined structure and the schedule work time frame. So, the notion that each job match, that is each particular pairing of the farm and the worker, has its own unique value that implies both workers and the farms can improve their situation by shopping around jobs. So, in labor economics, the job match refers to the alignment between the worker's skill, preference and the abilities with the requirement and the characteristics of a particular job or occupation. It considers the idea that individuals are more likely to experience job satisfaction, productivity and longevity in their roles when there is a good fit between this what they are trying to be the job and what the job demands. So, then we say it is a perfect job match. So, a good job match typically involves several factors. First and foremost factor is the skill match. So, the job requires certain skills that the individual possesses and can effectively utilize. So, these skills can include technical skills, soft skills, some specialization knowledge. So, when there is a skill match happens, it is the outcome becomes most productive. Second is the interest and preference. Even if there is some skill match, if the worker is not having that interest and preference, then the outcome will be something different. So, the job aligns with the individual's interest, value and the work preference, then they will enjoy the work and they will find that it is more satisfying. So, the productivity and the efficiency will go up. Another could be the cultural fit. The organizational culture and the work environment match the individual's personality and the work style. So, a good cultural fit can contribute to job satisfaction and overall happiness in the workplace for the individuals. Sometimes the career goals and the development opportunities makes a match made between the farm and the worker. If the job offers opportunities for the career growth and the skill development and the advancement that aligns with the individual's long term career goals, then we say that it is a good match between the worker and the farm. So, when there is a cultural match happens, in terms of organizational culture, work environment, with the individual's personality and the work style, we say it is a good match between the farm and the worker. So, a good cultural fit can contribute to job satisfaction and overall happiness in the workplace of the individuals. Further, a good match happens when it aligns with the individual's career goal and the development opportunities which are available at the job place. If the job offers opportunities for the career growth, skill development and the advancements that align with the individual's long term career goal, then we say it is a good match between the farm and the worker. A worker has an incentive to search for a work environment that fits, that suits to him. So, this search could increase the worker's productivity and wage and efficiency. Similarly, the farm also wants to search for the workers who are well suited to the farm's environment. So, this search could increase the farm's profit. So, if the workers and the farms, they knew exactly which particular match had the highest value, the workers would look for the best farm and the farm would look for the best worker. So, there could be no need to have any turnover after this match made, this initial marriage was consummated. So, the sorting of the worker and the farm would be optimal sorting, the one that maximizes the total value of the labor's product. However, both farm and the workers are ill informed about the true value of the match at the time the job begins. Over the time, both workers and the farm may realize that they incorrectly predicted the value of the match. Moreover, the farm and the worker, they know that there are other workers and the farms out there that could provide a better match. So, in that case, therefore, the job turnover is the mechanism that the labor market use to correct the matching errors and leads to a better and more efficient allocation of resources. In that case, we can say this type of turnover is an efficient turnover. So, it is necessary for the total value of the labor's product in a competitive labor market to have this kind of efficient turnover. In those cases, we can increase the efficiency and we can have a better allocation of the resources and efficient allocation of the resources. So, when there is a strong match between these factors, both employees and the employers, they get the benefit. Employees are more likely to be engaged, motivated and productive, leading to higher job satisfaction and lower turnover. From the employer side, employers gets the benefit from higher level of employee retention, improved performance and a more positive work environment. So, both are in a win-win situation when there is this kind of turnover happens. This job turnover changes the shape of the worker's age earning profile. As we have discussed earlier, a young man who is at his 20s, these young people they quit their jobs and experience the substantial increase in their wage rate, whereas the workers who lay off often experience a wage cut. So, the job turnover therefore causes an immediate shift on the level of the mover's age earning profile. So, we can explain the age earning profile and how the workers they are going to get their earnings over the lifetime through this age earning profile. In this graph on the x axis we have taken the age on the y axis we have taken the wage, and this is the age earning profile for the stayer, means those who do not get either in any kind of layoff or quit over the lifetime, they stay with their one job and they start and finish over the period of time. So, you can see their wages increases. When it happens, you can see at the time period T, there is a substantial increase, the stiff, and you can see at the time period T3. We have already discussed about this kind of age earning profile, how it works over the time period. But when it comes to the workers, those who quit their job or there is some kind of layoff happens, let us say at time period T, the individual they quits the job, and it is, let us say he is a quitter. So, in the second time period you can see the wage rate, they move to a higher job. If it is a layoff, you can see the slope of the age earning profile of a layoff worker, which is much lower as compared to the worker those who quit. So, this is the age earning profile of a mover over his lifetime. This is the age earning profile of a stayer over his lifetime. So, you can see the difference how it happens when somebody gets fired from the job or somebody voluntarily leaves a job and gets into another job. So, the impact of labor turnover on the slope of the age earning profile, when we compare with these two workers, we find some contrasting results, contrasting profiles, the movers and the stayer. The stayer has a continuous profile that is quite stiff, so that the rate of wage growth within the job is substantially high. The movers, they switches jobs several times and experience a change in the wage level at each job changes within a given job. However, the age earning profile of the mover is relatively flat. So, the existence of some firm specific training in fact implies that this type of relationship between job turnover and the slope of the age earning profile within a job, workers and the firms engaged in long term employment relationship, and they have the incentive to invest in some specific skills, because the workers pay for the part of the cost and collect the part of the return to the investment. So, the wage growth is stiffer in those jobs that have relatively large specific capital investment, which means longer jobs. So, the workers' earnings therefore depend not only on the total labor market experience, but also on his job history and his seniority on the current job. Many studies empirically have documented that workers who have been on job for a long period of time, they earn more than the newly hired workers even after controlling the difference in the workers' age. This wage gap between two similarly aged workers who differ only in that one of the workers have more year of seniority on the order of 2 to 3%. Although this evidence seems to be consistent with a specific training hypothesis, there has been a heated debate over whether the job tenure truly has an independent impact on the earnings of the worker or not. Actually, the source of the problem is that the positive correlation between the earnings and the job tenure across the workers can be interpreted in a very different way. Suppose some workers got lucky and found that high paying jobs. Now, these workers are good in matches and they earn a wage rate is WH per year as long as they remain in their jobs. Consider that the earnings of a well matched worker do not grow over time. However, on the other side, the other workers have not been so lucky. They are badly matched and have low earnings. So, these workers, they earn a low wage rate WL, let us say, per year as long as they remain in their job. And the earning of this poorly matched worker also do not grow over time. So, in this hypothetical example, the job turnover has no impact on the earnings. You can put it differently, that specific training plays no role in determining wages. So, the lucky workers who earn this high wage rate are satisfied with their current economic situation and feel little need to test the waters and look for any other alternative employment. So, workers in a good match therefore will have low probability of job separation, and these workers will tend to have a lot of seniority. However, in contrast, the workers who are not well matched, they are dissatisfied with their current employment situation, and these workers will have high probability for the job turnover and will have a little seniority. So, the correlation between earning and job tenure across the workers will be positive, which implies that wages grow with the job tenure for a given worker when no such things is actually observed in this simple market. Let us say for a given worker, wages do not grow with the tenure, and across workers, however, the seniority is associated with the high wages because workers with a lot of job seniority are likely to be in good matches, and workers with little seniority are in bad matches. Then it would be incorrect to conclude that this cross sectional correlation says anything about the importance of specific training in their labor market. So, it is very difficult to draw certain conclusions on these grounds. Now, to isolate the impact of this seniority on a given worker's wage, we need to track the worker's earning over the time, both as he gets older and as he accumulates farm specific experiences. Many studies have attempted to track the worker's employment history over the large span of his working life, and the evidence on the relationship between wage and seniority is mixed. In fact, there are a lot of studies are there, those who conducted in mostly 80s, and they have concluded that this job tenure had no impact on earnings above and beyond the effect of the total labor market experience. So, there is at a certain point of time this threshold becomes flat, which means there was no evidence that earning actually grew on the job after controlling the quality of match between this worker and the farm. So, if correct, the findings that wages are unaffected by the seniority has important this certain policy implications and would fundamentally alter the way we think about the and interpret many labor market outcomes. For example, the unimportance of the seniority would suggest that skills in the labor market are mainly general, and this probability of skill across the farms implies that the cost of the workers displacement and the unemployment are relatively small, because the workers human capital stock is not adversely affected by the involuntary job separation. So, in conclusion, we can say that the probability of moving across geographic regions depends on the economic condition in both the destination as well as the source country, and also it depends on the migration cost. The probability of migration arises when the incomes are low in the origin or the source country, or when the incomes are high in the destination country. Further, the probability of migration is also high if the migration costs are low. Immigrants are not randomly chosen. So, if the rate of return to the skill in the receiving country exceeds the rate of return to the skill in the source country, then this immigration is positively selected and the immigrants have above average skills. However, if the rate of return to the skills in the receiving country is lower than the rate of returns to the source country, the immigration flow is negatively selected and immigrants have below average skills. Further, the efficient turnover improves the quality of job match between the worker and the farm, and it increases the labor's contribution to the national income. The workers, those who have some on job for a long period of time, they are less likely to move as compared to the younger workers. So, this correlation arises because the workers differ in their turnover propensity, because specific training reduces the probability of turnover as the workers is on the job. Further, workers who have been on job for a long period of time, they earn more than the newly hired workers. This correlation arises because the workers they are in a good match and tends to stay in the job for a long period of time, because the accumulation of specific training increases the workers' productivity. In our next lecture, we will discuss about unemployment. We will discuss about different theories of unemployment, we will discuss about different types of unemployment, we will discuss about the consequences of unemployment on the economy at aggregate. Thank you.